surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
This one's tough because he's only 29. He just turned 29 a couple of weeks ago. And if I'm Jesse Minter, one of the reasons I want the job of the Baltimore Ravens, I have a superstar, two-time MVP in his prime. I know he's expensive. We got to get that figured out. I could see Myles Garrett getting traded before Lamar.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it'd be crazy from the team's perspective, but I think what Graz is pointing out is important is like a lot of the leverage is in Lamar Jackson's camp right now, considering that he has a plus $70 million cap hit. They kind of have to restructure it. And if he chooses to tell them that he doesn't want it restructured and he would only be willing to restructure with someone else, then he kind of forces their hand. So we're not in a situation where he's a free agent and they could potentially franchise tag him or transition tag him or do something like that to make it so that they get something back. Right now, he's kind of like, we figure out the contract I want, or I don't do anything, and that kind of cripples their ability to build out the rest of the roster and make a competitor, and then he could potentially force this move. But the team would be nuts to do it without him forcing.
That's Dominique Foxworth and Mike Tannenbaum yesterday on ESPN discussing a topic that I feel like is just not getting the breath that it should be getting, and I'm not trying to panic or create hysteria, but every day that we get closer to the NFL Combine that the Ravens haven't had a deal worked out with Lamar Jackson is really quite alarming. Good morning. It's a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And I'm not sure what the appropriate level of discussion is, right? Like at some point, there's not a whole lot to be said. Either it's going to get done or it's not. But it's really weird how we're not talking about it. How... Like, even when I brought it up, I think like a Brian Wacker recently from The Sun, it's just treated sort of like it is kind of a foregone conclusion. And, you know, we say things like, hey, well, Lamar was involved. There was the clip from the Super Bowl. Well, you know, Lamar was involved in the coaching search, so he appears to be engaged. There's no reason to think that he wants out. And, no, there is no reason to think that he wants out. And... yes, the Ravens do have the option. When I bring up the time issue, the Ravens do have the option, as Steve Bisciotti alluded to at the end-of-season press conference, of shuffling in the void years. But that's just creating more problems. I am not suggesting that the Ravens intend to or are going to trade Lamar Jackson, but what Dominique Foxworth said there, and it's important because, like, whenever we have this conversation, somebody wants to hide behind, oh, you're just a Lamar Jackson hater. I assure you, Dominique Foxworth is not a Lamar Jackson hater in any way. What he's saying is very practical. No, there's no reason to think that the Ravens want to trade Lamar Jackson or should trade Lamar Jackson. That's crazy. There is no reason for us to think that Lamar Jackson wants to be traded, except for... everyone knows that they need to get this deal done, and they need to get it done, like, quickly. So why isn't it getting done?
So what's the last possible, be like March, whenever the new season begins? On
yeah, I
March
mean,
it
could get done well after that. It could get done at any point.
Yeah, but if they want to be,
yes,
if they want to
get
participate
done
in free
specifically.
agency.
Well, again, you don't need your rookie money then. Like, you could say, hey, we'll spend the rookie money now because we're confident that we're going to get the deal done with Lamar. If they have been talking and it's just not signed, but, like, Lamar's at a place where they say, look, we know what the parameters are going to be. They could spend the money that you usually save for rookies and for walking around now and then have that money come up afterwards. It's part of the reason why I don't know what the appropriate level of panic or conversation is about the topic. Because all that really needs to be known is that it's going to get done and that you have a certain amount of money to spend. It doesn't have to be signed. The problem is we have no idea. So when we're talking about things like, well, maybe the Ravens could dip their toes in the Bradley Chubb water. Yeah, that makes sense. But I have no idea what the Ravens actually have to spend. I have no clue. I don't know if they know either. Because there are two different scenarios. There is one scenario where the Ravens, for whatever reason, are talking to Lamar Jackson, but he's dragging his feet and he's not. They have no idea whether he intends to sign a deal or not. And if that's the case, it's a massive problem. There is another scenario where potentially the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are very confident that they're going to get a deal done. There's something that Lamar wants. Maybe he says, look, man, just go out and somebody was hypothesizing. I think it was Florio yesterday was hypothesizing that it could be that Lamar wants them to go sign Tyreek Hill, which would be insane. But who knows? I mean, he wanted them to sign Odell Beckham the last time, and they gave him $15 million. I have no idea what it might be. But if they're in the process with Lamar and they say to each other, all right, obviously this is going to get done, it just hasn't been signed yet, then that's a different world. Because then they could be confident in the amount of money that they do have to spend, and they can use money that you would normally save on the cap. Again, the draft picks, the money that you keep for that, the money that you keep for walking around money. You don't spend up to the cap at the start of free agency. So they can use that money and then be confident and always have the backup plan of, well, if for whatever reason it doesn't work, then we just throw in the void years. But presumably if that's where you're at, you want to do that now. It is – I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to have the intelligent conversation because, and this is where I know Florio always gets frustrated, we don't have any leaks. The team's not going to leak anything. They don't even really leak the national. I mean, like maybe there's an occasional leak to a national person.
Right, and that's when Rappaport steps in and says, yeah Lamar's going to be back this week.
But you know what's really funny about that? I dig in on a lot of those things. Sometimes I think that's coming from someone who's a little lower level. Sometimes I don't think that's coming from Eric DeCosta. And sometimes when I know someone's source is Eric DeCosta, I also think that Eric might be telling them something they want to hear or he wants them to hear.
Telling a reporter?
Yes. And that's sort of why I think purposely you don't hear anything. Even the people that I know that have Eric DeCosta as a source, the last time when this was going on with Lamar, they had nothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think...
You were the only guy who knew because you had that Lamometer.
Right, I knew exactly what the percentage was. But it wasn't coming from Eric DeCosta, I assure you that. That wasn't the case. It's a weird spot. It's part of the frustration here is that, again, it's very difficult to intelligently talk about because we know very factually very little. And even that, was it Pelissero? Who was Garofolo on Super Bowl Sunday, the clip that we played last week, was weird. It sounds way more like he reached out to someone with the Ravens, and that someone said, no, obviously we're going to talk to Lamar, which isn't really any inside information, and again led to the, wait, now? Like, now's when you're going to talk? That seems odd. And again, there could be any reason for that. It could be because they had an immense amount of hubris about where they left off. Like when Lamar was getting involved in the coaching, they might have said like, "Hey man, we're getting this done, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're getting it done. I just want to look over it one more time." I like they've essentially agreed to the parameters, and so they financially know exactly where they're at. But they're just not telling us that because they don't want to say anything until it's done. If that's the case, then this is nothing, and there is nothing to any conversation they had on ESPN or any conversation I might have. I would think that if they're that close, they might want that to be known, but maybe they've been burned by like what happened the last time with Lamar, and they've gotten to a place where they're not, even if they're close, they're not going to say anything until everything is dotted and crossed. It's what makes it all so perplexing. I don't think it requires panic, and I don't think what Dominique Foxworth said right there was panic. It was very practical. There's no, as Mike Tannenbaum points out, there's zero reason for the Ravens to be looking to trade Lamar Jackson. None. That's asinine. And none of the other stuff is remotely relevant in this conversation. None of it, with respect to Florio, who we know is a friend, the Mike Preston column is not relevant at all. Zero. It has zero relevance. The only relevant part is Lamar Jackson aware, as he should be, that the deal needs to get done now, before this season, and is he prioritizing that? And if he's not, then the Ravens have to figure out what they do from there. And it's as much about compensation as Dominique Foxworth points out. The Ravens get to a point where they don't have the option at the end of this deal to put another tag on. And so, yes, there is an argument that you have to get as much compensation as you possibly could get. But it's really about, if Lamar Jackson is no longer prioritizing, I desperately want to win a Super Bowl. That's what matters most to me. And is willing to put the Ravens in a bad spot, then is that his way of saying, I don't want to be here? Which, again, we have no reason to think that's the case. It's a flow chart, man. No one outrules the other. It's what makes it so bizarre and so perplexing. But it deserves that conversation. Dom's right. I hope, I keep saying this, I hope tomorrow this is irrelevant. And tomorrow the Ravens announce they got the deal done with Lamar Jackson. But every day that goes by, all the teams are going to be doing next week in Indianapolis is tampering. All of the tampering. Tamper. They're going to be working on deals. And if the Ravens have any confusion about where they're going to be at, or if they have to stack these void years and hurt future caps, then I don't know what they do.
So we'll get, I don't know, we'll get some kind of answer next week, presumably, when
No,
DaCosta...
I don't know that we'll get an answer. Oh, he'll be asked, but I don't know that he'll have an answer.
Right, I know, but we'll have...
He might just
we'll have something to speculate upon.
Yeah, he might just say, yeah, we're still working with Lamar on that.
So when we get to this point next week, that's when we need to break the meter back out again?
No, I don't know what to do. The meter would only come out if
Lamar demands a trade,
or something. Like, if there's something that, report Ravens at a crossroads with Lamar Jackson.
Ravens and Lamar are not close.
Again, there is no tangible evidence that we have that suggests anything other than the Ravens are going to get a deal done with Lamar Jackson. Other than that, the Ravens haven't gotten a deal done with Lamar Jackson. It's just kind of weirdly befuddling in that way. I don't know, man. I hope it's much ado about nothing. But I saw that come across my timeline yesterday, and I don't know what the conversation, I guess it started with something that Dan Graziano said. I'm sorry, I don't watch these shows. I'm never going to watch these shows. And that's
Glenn beats me in here every morning and then has get up on.
No, I'm watching the Olympics. That's what I watch. I was watching U.S. bounce back. The women yesterday stunk against Italy. I mean, they stunk it
Was
up.
those were just preliminary rounds, right?
Yes, this is still
okay,
round robin play.
They haven't opened their eyes yet. You know, it's just.
But they better because they were in danger. Thankfully, they did because they skull dragged Denmark this morning. I think 10-3.
Is that a normal term for the big use in curling?
They absolutely demolished Denmark. I don't know what happened yesterday. I mean, they didn't make a shot yesterday. It was weird.
They were playing Italy.
Yeah, they were playing Italy.
And the tournament's in Italy.
Yes, I don't think that's the reason why they couldn't make a shot.
I mean, I think I know the answer, but yeah, sure.
5-2 now.
You can believe it's only up and up. But
if they had lost today, they would have fallen to 4-3.
I mean, as
they
you
would
know,
have
there's
real danger
plenty of
missing.
cheating in curling. So.
Well, we know one country in particular.
So why would the home team not also try to lean the ice one way or the other?
I don't think that has anything to do with whether or not the U.S. could make a shot. They could not make a damn shot yesterday. U.S. Women's hockey. Different story. Different story. They could make lots of shots.
Blink and you miss it.
They're on to the gold medal game against Canada, who's taken a bumpier path to getting to the gold medal game. But it is Canada in a gold medal game, and they're awfully good. There wasn't a lot of sports last night at trivia. We did win, but it got hairy last night for Team Norfolk. We went to the final.
I'm glad you guys won. I'm glad you guys pulled.
We went to the final with a 2-point lead.
Ooh.
And we were really struggling down the stretch. And, some stuff that was pretty embarrassing. Some stuff that looking back on, we're like, oh, my God, we really got that wrong.
Like what?
Damn it.
You brought it up. Now
there
I'm
was
curious.
a question about, on this date in 1776, George Washington crossed what river? And, idiots, we were just like, that's the easiest question ever. And we just wrote down Delaware because, And then after we turned it in, we were like, oh, my God.
It's the
Schuylkill?
No.
What's that?
Was it the
No,
Schuylkill
it wasn't.
River?
No, it wasn't that. It was the.
Was it the Hudson? No.
No, it wasn't the Hudson. It was the
Then
East.
I don't
I
know
think it was
either.
the East River.
Well, I guess I would have got that one wrong.
But we forgot that Delaware was on Christmas. We just
yeah.
screwed up, and so we wrote down and I literally turned it in, and we were like, oh my God, we're the dumbest people ever. We are stupid.
I'm sure you weren't the only ones that.
Yes, there were others that just wrote down Delaware because you just see George Washington River, and you're like, okay, easy.
Come on.
But yeah, that we are way too veteran to make that type of mistake. We are the World Series champions.
See, I can make that mistake.
Yeah, we cannot make that mistake. That was really embarrassing. And then there was another one. It was like, oh, hang on, I actually have it. This was embarrassing.
But you guys would have gotten the East River if you had thought about it for.
I don't know. Proctor and I were talking about that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Which rock group?
Where's the East River?
In New York.
Oh, okay.
Which rock group formed in Illinois in 1967 and sold more than 40 million albums worldwide is named after a 1915 truck built by American businessman Ransom Eli Olds?
Okay, they were the band.
Yes.
Originated in Illinois.
So in 1967.
Okay.
Sold 40 million albums and is named after a 1915 truck
The band is
built by American businessman Ransom Eli Olds.
The pickups. I don't know.
Pickups. See, this is again. It's so dumb that we got this wrong. I was just trying to think of Illinois bands that have sold 40. I'm like, what Illinois bands have sold 40 million albums? And I was like, maybe Earth, Wind, and Fire. They've probably sold 40 million albums.
But they're not named
that doesn't
after
sound like a
1915
truck name,
truck,
right?
Yeah.
Styx.
The Fords.
Styx.
But obviously,
And
that
so
would
we
be
just
Ford.
sort of let's just go with the band that we know is from Illinois. The answer was right in front of us. Ransom Eli Olds. His initials are R-E-O. So when they said the answer was REO Speedwagon, I felt really stupid. Really stupid that we missed that one. So we were really struggling coming down the stretch
REO
last
Speedwagon.
night.
Yeah, see, I would have got there eventually.
Yeah, would you have? You don't even know who REO Speedwagon is.
Yeah, I can name all their great
Sure.
songs.
Yeah, we were
Lovers.
we blew a big lead, and we were only up by 2. The final question was this person is the only person to have ever won 6 straight Emmy Awards for acting and for playing the same fictional character.
This person. So
This
it doesn't
person.
give you. They don't
No,
give you gender.
do not
or
know
anything.
gender. This
Okay.
person is the only person to have won 6 straight Emmy Awards
So I'm
for
thinking, like-
acting for their portrayal of the same fictional character.
So like 6 straight years almost.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, like James Gandolfini, like, but that I don't know if that is that too modern? This sounds like something for in order to
that's,
to win what?
Well, it's only since television has existed. for
Right,
the
right. I
record.
know, but
Yeah,
so
I mean,
then
like,
do I go back? Well,
they didn't give the
right, but
Emmy
do I go back to the
Awards
'60s when
and
there was only one show on? So then it would
John
make
Little Rock
sense.
is giving me S. I know, John. I know. Trust me. I know.
What? He's
Oreo.
for
Yeah.
getting it wrong.
Obviously, again, afterwards it was easy.
Since I can't name any actors from the '60s
For the
or
record,
'70s,
I don't think I knew that REO Speedwagon sold 40 million albums either.
I'll go ahead and lock in Gandolfini.
Gandolfini
Yeah.
is not James Gandolfini. No.
Now,
For the record, my mind went there.
Michael
my mind,
Imperioli
it's not Michael Imperioli. My mind went to Bryan Cranston as well. But
from Malcolm in the Middle.
thankfully, not our movie TV guy, but somebody else on the team. First suggestion
Is it from the 1900s? This
is from the 2000s.
really?
First suggestion, and made lots of sense to me. He suggested Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now, when he suggested it, I first thought, I don't know. But then I thought about it more and said,
Like comedy actress.
how many did
That'd be
she?
90s. wasn't
How
it?
competitive? No, not for Seinfeld. For Veep.
Oh,
How many? How much
been for
competition
Seinfeld.
was there? Like, how many? She was up against who while Veep was on? I think that was Tina on 30 Rock a little bit. I think that was Amy on Parks and Recreation a little bit. But HBO shows always have the leg up in these types of competitions. So I really liked it just because female comedy, there wasn't going to be the same. Like, Bryan Cranston at some point might have been up against, I don't think James Gandolfini,
yeah, I
but
don't think they would
like,
left. But yeah, something.
like something like that. So I said, I like this. And we all kind of agreed that we liked the answer, but we didn't have the confidence to wager 15 because you can wager up to 15. So Proctor suggested we only wager 1. Because that would have,
This
even
was
if
the
we got it,
final,
even if
okay.
we got it wrong, if the people behind us didn't get it right, then we would still win because we were up by 2. I said, I don't know, like maybe we go 7. And then the guy who suggested it, my buddy Matt, convinced us we should go 7 with our wager. Turns out a lot of people got it right, but everybody else had the same nervousness that we did.
So they all wagered half of
The,
their.
the team behind us only wagered 3. So if we'd wagered 1, we would have finished in a tie with them. Thankfully, we wagered 7. But if they had wagered 15, we would have lost, even though we got it right. It's a weird night. But we were victorious again. The 2 sports.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
I guess.
The sports trivia were related to the hockey. There are only 5 countries to have ever won a medal in women's ice hockey. Name the 5.
Canada,
Yes.
Sweden,
Yes.
Switzerland,
Yes.
the U.S.
Yes.
to win a medal in hockey
Mm-hmm. And women's.
and women's Olympic hockey.
Women's ice hockey.
Russia.
Finland is the other one.
What?
Yeah, Finland.
That's ridiculous.
I only got 4 to the 5. I missed Switzerland. I got Sweden and Finland. I
I
missed
just went with
Switzerland.
I was like, who's in the Final Four this year? I'm just gonna go with all those. They
And
seem
then
like they're
this-
historically good.
This category was very easy to me.
Russia. So did they just didn't have women's hockey, or was it just?
I'm not sure what the story is on women's hockey in Russia. Don't know the answer to that. That was our guess, though, by the way.
Russia.
We didn't go with Switzerland. We went with Russia, and that was not correct. This category, all of the
Oh, so you got Finland.
yeah, to get this correct, identify the shared last name for all of these 3 athletes. You get bonus points if you can get all of their 3 first names. All right?
God.
So the
Okay.
shared last name. We start with that part.
So they all have the same last name.
They all have the same last name. What is the shared last name? Number 1, in 1908, he became the first African-American world heavyweight boxing champion. Number 2, former Houston Oiler, whose nickname was White Shoes. Number 3, American golfer who won the 2016 U.S. Open
Oh, come on.
and the 2020 Masters. Probably the easiest category we've ever had.
They all have the same last
They
name.
all have the same last name. Mm-hmm. It's going well.
And it took you a while to get it, too.
No. Didn't take me even a second.
Who won the 2020 Masters? They had the Masters in 2020?
They
What was it,
did.
like September?
They did it in the fall, yes. They did it in the fall. Remember, they had College Game Day broadcast live from the Masters.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't Tiger.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Don't want to rule anybody out.
The 16. Man, I'm not gonna be able to get any of these. I don't think. White Shoes was the Houston
Former
Oiler.
Houston Oiler, whose nickname was White Shoes. Could not be easier.
Can I phone a friend?
Incredibly famous. Can you phone a friend? Who are you phoning?
I don't know, John in Little Rock. I know he's watching.
I can't believe that John wouldn't get any. I mean, like the third one, I think I only knew because I knew the last name. But the first two are incredibly easy.
I don't know who won the golf tournaments. I don't know who the Houston Oiler would be that was nicknamed White Shoes.
That's really bad.
Why was his nickname White Shoes?
I mean, you're never gonna guess.
Because he had white cleats
You're
and
never gonna guess.
man, and I can't name the boxer. I just can't. These hints do nothing for me. These are bad hints. They're not good
White
hints.
Shoes was famous for a very specific celebration that he had.
Because he tap dance or something?
Kinda. I mean,
Okay.
not tap dancing, but he kind of he had this like shaky leg thing that he
Okay.
did.
It's
Bad.
I don't know. I
Bad.
just don't know.
Oh, for what it's worth, John only knew the second two. He did not know the first.
DJ. Okay. DJ won the 2020 Masters. Good for him, I guess.
Yes, the last name, of course, is Johnson, and as John knows,
Who was Billy Johnson?
Billy White Shoes Johnson. I can't believe he never.
Why would I know who Billy White
Because
Shoes Johnson?
you've seen him do his dance a million times.
Have I?
Yes. They
He was on
show it
The Houston
in a
Oilers have never
million
existed in my
highlights.
lifetime.
Yes. He barely was playing in my lifetime. It doesn't matter. You've seen it in highlights a million times. Billy White Shoes Johnson is incredibly famous. Dustin Johnson, of course, is the golfer. And yes, John did figure it out. I don't know if he looked it up, but the boxer, of course,
John, my phone friend, he wouldn't look it up.
was Jack Johnson, was the boxer, of course. So glad you're not our sports guy. Glad that's not. Yeah. Oh, Billy White Shoes Johnson. Oh, you know this guy.
I don't. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, you've seen it. You just don't realize that you've seen it.
Okay.
They put it
I
in
mean, if
all
you're-
the highlights of celebrations over the years. He's one of the most iconic celebrations ever. Oh, Billy White Shoes Johnson.
So
This
he
is- this
so he
is-
does have white shoes.
This is courtesy of
Yeah.
I don't know what,
Yeah,
but
it's courtesy of. Okay, cool. Guess that's a good dance. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that would definitely back when doing the splits. Okay, yeah, back when
Mhm.
nobody celebrated, that definitely would matter.
you seem very bitter about this. Like
Well,
you're going
Well, I think
anti
you- well, I
Billy
think
White
you-
Shoes
I think
Johnson.
you set me up.
No, I definitely didn't set you up.
You're acting like I should know who Billy Johnson
You
is.
definitely should know who Billy White Shoes Johnson is. Yes.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Like that's. I actually don't know if Billy White Shoes Johnson
Okay,
is in the Hall
see?
of Fame or not. I have no clue. But that's not about that. He's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's only in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Okay, so maybe. All right, you're right. Maybe I should have known it then, since he's
All right. Yeah, that was
because he went to Widener.
Oh yeah, he did go to
All
Widener. That is true. He did go to Widener.
365th overall pick in 1974. How could I not know who he was?
Yes, because obviously someone's defined by their pick, as you can tell by like Tom Brady.
Well,
No one ever heard of that guy.
Yeah, but he at least went to Michigan.
Obviously, no one ever. That was the end of that fella. Now, Giovanni Carmazzi or Chris Redmond, those are real quarterbacks. But Tom Brady.
Yeah, like Mike Piazza. No one should know who he is.
Exactly right. Today's show is brought to you by the Stand the Fan Variety Hour. If you missed it, Stand the Fan and Luke caught up with Liam Bowen, UMBC baseball coach. You can find that right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's show is brought to you by the Costas Inn with 2 locations. The original on North Point Boulevard in Dundalk, the new one in Timonium at the Grand Stand. I wanted to cover that Lamar Jackson thing. The only other real topic that I wanted to dive into is one that I should have gotten to yesterday, and I apologize for the fact that I forgot it because we were talking about some other things. But I was really interested in this news that came over the weekend. I'll read this from Awful Announcing. Major League Baseball is set to introduce the Automated Ball Strike Challenge System, ABS, this season. And with it, there will be some changes to both the in-stadium experience and the at-home broadcast. According to a recent report by Jeff Agrest in the Chicago Sun-Times, MLB broadcasts will no longer indicate whether a pitch is a ball or a strike within the on-screen strike zone box, as the league is exercising an abundance of caution to ensure teams cannot exploit the broadcast to their advantage when challenging pitches. Previously, broadcasts would indicate strikes as a filled-in circle within the strike zone box, and balls would use a hollow circle. Now all circles will look the same. Now, make this abundantly clear. The change, as they go on, will not be that noticeable for viewers. Pitches will still be displayed in the strike zone box, but they won't show the definitive quote-unquote right calls via the filled-in or hollowed-out circles. As they say, it is, however, a bit odd that MLB is deeming this change necessary. Pitchers or batters who want to challenge a ball strike call using ABS need to do so immediately after the call by tapping their head. Then ABS immediately kicks in with an animation of the pitch, which will be shown both in the stadium and on viewers' screens, and determines if the pitch is a ball or a strike. The procedure shouldn't allow any communication with the pitcher or batter to determine whether to initiate a challenge. And this is the part, because when you first read this highlight, it sounds like they're getting rid of the box altogether, which would make you say, what the F are you doing?
Well, I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
Oh, why?
Because I don't like the box.
Why?
Because it's not always accurate.
So what? It's not always accurate.
Yeah.
What the hell does that have to do? It's objectively good for television. It's objectively good for the experience. Frankly, it's why ABS needs to exist. Is because you can't say to someone who's never watched the sport before, hey, if the ball's here, it's a strike. If it's here, it's a ball. And then they watch and they say, I can't tell. You need to be able to improve the sport. We can joke about it still all these years later. 100%. One of the best innovations that ever came to television was Fox, when they had the NHL briefly, tracking the puck. I have no idea why other networks, I don't know if it was the NHL that said it looks hack, hardcore hockey fans hated it, but for the casual, when a puck, particularly when a puck goes in front of the net, you watch the Olympics, even Kenny Albert's I'm not really sure if that hit off of someone or not. Oh, this was
from last spring when they were implementing the.
So we know how ABS works.
I'm not allowed to enhance the show in any way.
No, it's fine. I mean, I thought it was something that was new. I was they haven't played any spring training games yet, so I was very confused.
Just right now.
Don't think so. They don't start until Friday.
It took them very long to.
The ball strike box has been objectively very good for baseball, with the only problem being that it has impacted the fact that we now know how frequently umpires are wrong. And these types of things, suggesting that they don't want the teams take advantage of it, well, one, as Awful Announcing points out, this isn't a thing where, somebody upstairs can signal down for a replay. You don't get to throw the flag. ABS has to be challenged immediately, which is part of the problem that I have with ABS. It's part of why none of this works for me. Just get the calls right. We are terrified as a society of just getting the calls right. it's in a way kind of hilarious.
Can't take the human element out of the game.
Which is nothing.
I'm not going to have the the coach or managers get thrown out of the game anymore.
Okay.
The best part of baseball.
What a thought. The manager gets to stay in the game? That's crazy. We are terrified of it. It's the most bizarre thing in the world where we're just like, well, we do pretty well, so that's all we need to do. It's always what you hear when everybody, Roger Goodell does his dumb press conference at the Super Bowl, and he's like, well, you just got to, we're so amazed by the number of calls that we get right. What if we got more? Why are we afraid of getting more calls right? What is this? And it makes no sense to say, well, the umpires just have so much power. Why? Why do the umpires have power? Why do we want the umpires to have power? If baseball walked in tomorrow and said, your power is gone, then what? What's the recourse?
Well, the World Series would have an asterisk, and
would it?
Yeah.
How?
How? Because the umpires weren't able to throw guys out of games.
Is that the this is the thing that makes no sense. Baseball has the power. Why do they cede it to the umpires? Why is that argument? Well, they can't go full ABS because then you're taking away from the umpire's power. Okay.
Who said the power? That's what they're.
It was the argument for the umpires somehow have so much power that.
I mean, the best argument was whenever we talked to an actual pitcher or
they didn't. They like the idea of being able to manipulate the umpire's strike, but that's a good argument from a pitcher. It's not a good argument for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, the only argument should be getting the calls right. And so anything that limits the experience on top of it, I don't even remember these specific little circles that I don't even remember what they're talking about. Somebody's going to have to show me a video of that in order for me to be aware of it.
I mean, I imagine that probably did happen, I guess, that if there was a...
Yeah, I hang on a second.
See if I can pull up a random Masson broadcast.
The pitches will still be displayed in the strike zone box. Oh, okay. I know exactly what it is. This is stupid. This is insane. After the pitch was thrown, they put a little circle there to say this was the spot. They're still going to leave the box up, but they're not going to let you see whether or not. That's insane. It's in utter insanity.
Well, the way it sounded when you read it, the way it sounded was that it was so last season. If you're watching, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, they throw a pitch and maybe it touches the top corner.
Right. They put up a circle
and then they fill it in because it's a strike according to the computer, but the umpire doesn't call it a strike. And so it's telling you, that was a strike, but the umpire didn't call it.
But there's no reason to not put the circle up. It helps educate the viewer at home.
Well, it sounds like they are going to put the circle up.
No,
they're
it's saying
the spot where the pitch goes.
Pitches will still be displayed in the strike zone box, but they won't show the definitive right calls via the filled in or hollowed out circles. If the circles are being removed, this is you and I can see where the ball crossed, but we don't know exactly where the ball crossed the plate. It's very difficult to the eye. The circle was what helped to tell us that. This was the spot where the ball crossed the plate. This is badass. Insanity to take this away. I mean, literally nuts. To make your product worse in the name of something that's nonsense. We don't want one. Let's just pretend like you could. You did have more time. Why are you afraid of giving the teams more time to get the calls right? How is that the argument? How is the argument that, again, according to a recent report from Jeff R. Agrest of the Chicago Sun-Times, MLB broadcast will no longer indicate whether a pitch is a ball or a strike within the on-screen strike zone box, as the league is exercising an abundance of caution to ensure teams cannot exploit the broadcast to their advantage when challenging pitches. What? You're showing what the circle.
Well, I'm trying to show. So this looks like a strike.
We see that by
so
the circle.
Yeah.
That's where the ball crossed the plate. You and I can tell the ball was in the box.
Right.
But we definitively know that it was in the box based on the circle.
And then I have another one here.
Is this one without it?
Yeah. Well, no, this is like a ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit closer. That one was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, this is a great, that one to me, looked like a strike, right? That looked like a strike. And yet, the circle allows us to know that it was a ball. Watch it again. It's very difficult to tell exactly where that pitch crosses the plate. The circle allows us to know. You are making your television experience worse in the name of making it more difficult to get the calls right. What backwards world are we living in?
I think the article says we're barely going to notice it, and I think that's probably
because we're still going to see the box. But that circle is very helpful in moments like that.
It's saying the circle's going to be gone completely?
Yes, it's saying. Again, I'm going to read this one third time.
I thought it was saying okay, yeah, read it.
Okay, it's saying the circles will look the same.
Right. So it's going to be an open circle the whole time. So it'll look like this no matter, even if it's right down the middle. Even if it's right down the middle, it's going to be an open circle like that the whole time. That's what it sounds like.
It's still dumb. It's not as dumb as I thought it was. It's still dumb because like that one right there, it's still very difficult to tell if that's touching the box or not.
Sure.
Right?
Which I think is what they want.
That makes no sense.
Well, they don't want teams to cheat. They don't want.
What are you talking about cheating?
Because the batter can say tap. The batter can tap his helmet and.
Right, but he doesn't have the time to find that out or not.
I think you're right. You're right. But I feel like this is a worthy.
It only hurts the broadcast. That's it. It only hurts the people that are trying to watch your sport.
Yeah, but if the broadcast has a question, it's not challenged. We have time to go back and watch the replay.
Afterwards?
Yeah. Between pitches.
I mean, I guess sometimes the game, it's not a relevant part of the game.
Sure, right.
And so they're not going to go back and replay the pitch because it's a 1-0 count.
Which is also MLB's point, I guess, which is, if there's 200 pitches in a game, 100 to
you have the technology to get them all correct.
Yeah, but the players don't like it. So
that's not my problem. That's not my issue.
You're starting to sound like the owners.
Get the calls right. Get them right. And make the TV experience better for everybody. This is a strike. This is a ball. Here's how you know this is a strike. Here's how you know this is a ball.
If we talk about this once during the season,
It's not about whether we're going to talk about ABS for sure. I mean, we're definitely going to end up talking about ABS.
Well, if we talk about the ball being colored in or not.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. This isn't justifiable. There's nothing that justifies this decision.
Look at it this way. We're moving closer and closer to what you're going to get.
Are we?
Yes.
We're still doing dumb things like this.
Because they don't just want to go from we're going fully,
Why
umpires
not?
get to call the balls and strikes to because the players don't like it.
So what?
Because they're unionized. They get to pick what they want.
That part. And we don't know what percentage of players like it and what percentage of players don't like it. We haven't gotten that. Major League Baseball should prioritize. Let me tell you something. This should be the easiest thing in the world to go through. Y'all want to fight over salaries? We want to make the game better. Hear us out. This should not be hard. And as it turns out, this was one that Major League Baseball didn't have to bargain over. They could just implement on their own. We know that because, there's no collective bargaining agreement. They were able to just implement it. Just get it right. It's not hard.
Well, maybe because they feel bad because they know that there's going to be a strike next season.
Yes, clearly. They are really concerned about the players, you can tell.
And there's going to be a salary cap in 2 years.
This is dumb.
Players aren't going to make as much money.
There's no argument for this.
They're trying to softball these things in instead of
this improves nothing.
Bad news after bad news
It improves nothing in the name of protecting yourself against nothing. It's unjustifiable. It's maybe not quite as bad as I thought I was reading it, but still it's unjustifiable because of that exact example, which is where it's very difficult to tell. It's hard. Improve the viewer experience. You're trying to get people to like baseball. Make it easier for them to understand. This isn't hard, man. Why do we know that the first down line is good? Even though, remember, the first down line in football is not legal, right? The yellow thing that we see on the screen. But we know it's good and we want it, right? Because it's helpful. Even if it's not Bible, it helps us.
See, real baseball fans.
No, this has nothing to do with real baseball fans or not. Are you a real football fan?
Yeah.
Then you know that it's helpful to have a first down marker. Even if we know. We don't even bother to say it anymore. Like, because they for the first, 10 years, they beat it home. Remember, this is not the legally where the actual line is.
Yeah, but me as a real football fan, I can call a football game without that line on the live field.
Yes. Boy, you're just brilliant.
Thank you.
Stop hurting your product. Stop it. And by the way, even the argument, even if it was true, even if you had 5 seconds to review, imagine that's your argument. We don't want to give the teams more time to get the calls right. That's the argument you're making. If we do this, then they have a greater chance of getting the calls right.
Well, maybe they're just trying to, they want to separate themselves because maybe you don't remember about 7-8 years ago, there was a trash can thing with the Astros. They had TVs.
Right, I remember
cameras
that.
all over the stadium and in the dugout.
Yes, this is the TV broadcast. This isn't a different camera that we're talking about. This is the television broadcast.
Just want to distance themselves as much as they can.
We should be able to get the calls right. That is the argument at the end of the day.
Well, they're not gonna.
If we showed it on TV,
the beauty of baseball.
If we showed it on TV, then a team might have a better chance of getting the correct call.
Can we go back and give Armando Galarraga
and we can't do that.
Can we give Galarraga a perfect game?
I argued against that because then there's 20 other things that you're going to have to revisit at that point.
Right.
But I'm not. But we're not going in the past. We're not trying to fix the past. We're trying to improve the future. Except they're not. We come back in.
It'll be better.
What's that?
It'll be better. And it's going to be dramatic. You get to the 9th inning, and then a guy pats his head.
A local college football legend has decided to end his run. We're going to tell you about it next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue. I still can't get over. I cannot get over. Their argument is, even if it's essentially it boils down to, we want to make the broadcasts slightly worse because there's an even slighter chance that it might help there be more correct calls. That's the worst argument in the history of arguing. So insane. Today's show is also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website for you to find out everything you need to know about what's going on with high school sports in the state of Maryland, scores, schedules, rankings, polls, and, of course, as we get into playoff season, you can get the brackets there at CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Have known this guy for a long time and have been always a huge fan, and he's a co-worker, and he's just done an amazing job of building from scratch a football program at Stevenson University and turning them into a championship program. He announced last week he's going to be stepping down to take on a new opportunity. He is former Stevenson football coach Ed Hottle, and he is with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time, and I think I should say congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much, Glenn. No, excited to be here. Appreciate you making the time for us today. Yeah, but to hear former is interesting for sure. I think that's the first time I've heard that one. So.
Yeah, it's a weird sentence, man. Ed, take me back, right? Like, you're at Gallaudet, and this opportunity is in front of you. If I had told you then that this was going to be how things were going to play out for you over the better part of the next 2 decades, would you have said, yeah, I believe that, or would you have been a bit more trepidatious because, you were literally starting from scratch?
Well, it was always the plan. You know what I mean? Like that for me, leaving Gallaudet and the opportunity at Stevenson was sort of going to be the last job. Or at least the last football job. Yeah, I had always planned it that way. I certainly think early on, I felt like there others may have had other plans for me when we were a little bit slow to launch. But all in all, incredibly grateful for the last 16 plus years, and we've had the opportunity to have some great successes, on the field. But I think. I think any coach, any college coach will tell you, right? It's graduation day that makes you the most excited, and the lives we've been able to impact, not just me, but a ton of assistant coaches, a ton of staff at Stevenson, faculty, of course, and graduation day is always the most exciting day for us. Watching folks achieve that dream of a college degree.
What is it? Take me through how did this happen, Ed? Right? Like what? From moment one, how do you do this? How do you build something that can become this sustainable in such a short amount of time?
Certainly it was never just me. Even early on, the first assistant coach was Rich Bader. And I can remember, doing visits after visit after visit, and it was just Rich and I. And we ended up, recruiting that first 100 plus kids, that participated in the practice year in 2010, and added assistants shortly, later on in that summer, and then welcome the first team, to campus. But, Stevenson's always been an incredibly supportive place. I tell people all the time, early on when we were doing all of this, working with Brett Adams and Tim Campbell and those guys, I don't think I was ever told no to anything. I think I was told to wait more than once. Hey, we'll get there. Let's do this first, and it certainly made sense. So it was a lot of effort from a lot of different people. You can't forget, Mark Hergen, who is still the director of enrollment at Stevenson. He was the director when I got there, and he and I have gotten to know each other. We've had hundreds and hundreds of individual meetings talking about recruiting and how we can get better. And so not just me by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly, it took the entire university, rowing the boat in the same direction. And to be honest, I have recruits, they often ask me why I've stayed so long, with the success that we've had, and that's just it, right? It's everybody rowing the boat in the same direction over there, and it's just a fun place to work where students are really supported, and the mission is, we want to have good football teams, but we want to build great young men and help them achieve the dream of college education.
Ed Hottle is with us after he has stepped down as football coach at Stevenson University. And obviously the fact that you're sort of able to keep it in the family, right? Like how significant was that to you in making this decision?
To me, that was, aside from making sure everything was buttoned up on my end, right? Making sure that we could still keep the lights on at the Hottle residence for sure. I think the most important thing to me was, being able to hand it over to Josh. Josh has been with the program. I think it's been 7 years, and every big decision that we have made, we made together, he and I, and personnel, recruiting strategy, in-game strategy, post-game strategy, how we can do things better. He was part of all of those conversations, and so for me, it makes me feel really, really good that he's the guy, and that was my biggest concern, worry. I don't know that that's the right word, but I was certainly in his corner, pulling for him, and his family's been on the sideline standing beside mine, and he's a great guy, he's a great recruiter, he's a good football coach, but the thing that he is more than anything else, he's a great guy, and he's going to do awesome things over there.
Obviously, winning the MAC probably stands out, but what is there a game, a win, a moment in particular that maybe means more to you that others might not quite understand why it was so specifically significant to you?
I guess I'd probably have to go back to 2011, beating Christopher Newport in the first ever home game. To me, the validation of, granted, at that point it was a couple of years worth of work, right? But to beat, at that point, Christopher Newport was a perennial playoff team. They were good, and they were really, really good, and we had a great night that night. I don't know that we were great as a football program at that point, but we had a great night, and I think looking back, that's certainly a big one for us, and I think that, there's a number of games you can look back at and say, this was the best one, or it's tough because there's so many little individual victories that were along the way, and not necessarily on the field stuff, some of the off the field stuff, and some of the guys that came to us and weren't particularly serious about school that ended up getting their degrees and are out, some of which are even coaching now. So to have those guys call and reach out, that's what it's all about. So one moment. And it's a million little ones that make the most difference for me.
It's a program that's literally produced a Super Bowl champion, by the way, multiple Super Bowl champion as well, and of course the great Dan Williams. All right, so everything you've done in coaching, how does it compare to watching what your son did Friday night, which was one of the coolest things I've ever seen? Man.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I think watching him, Especially against Maryland. And look, right, like, everybody wants to go play for the Terps, right? I don't know that there was ever even a conversation about him or with them or whatever. And, he'll never tell me that bothered him, but I think that it did. And I think it fuels him a little bit, particularly in that situation. And it's really interesting to watch him play and how he plays. And, he plays with an edge, he plays with that chip. And,
I mean, for those that don't know, I don't know what he actually is, but Wyatt, Ed's son, who plays in Syracuse, is listed at 5'7", 148. And you're not going to be confused when you watch him. You're not going to say, like, oh, that dude is definitely bigger than that.
Yeah, he's definitely heavier than 148. I checked in with him the other day, making sure as the coach dad, right? You got to make sure that they're eating and taking care of their body. He told me he's about 165 pounds.
All right.
Okay.
Still,
I said, so we're good. We're good there.
Yeah.
But 5'8" with his shoes on, I think. But but I think again, right? Like I think that plays into sort of who he is as an athlete, right? Like he plays with that edge, he plays with that chip, and it does. I think. I think it bothers him sometimes, but that's okay, right? Like as long as it's fueling that fire, and he keeps it all in perspective. No, it was awesome, but I guess his mom will argue with me about this, but for me, okay, you got to do it Saturday against Harvard, and then you got to do it against Penn, and then you got to do it against Princeton, and that's the struggle, right? Like you want to enjoy that moment, but you got to coach them because. For us, and we say this all the time, it's about high-level performance repeatedly over an extended period of time that really leads to team success. And, that team is special. That's a bunch of good guys on that team. We've gotten to know them and their families, and, couldn't be more excited to be part of that program.
Yeah, I mean, for those that weren't watching the game, Wyatt took it over in the first half, plain and simple. Like, he took the game over and set the tone. And obviously Syracuse went on to beat Maryland for the first time in a long time, which is a very big deal for them. Maybe not as many of us around here that are quite as excited about it, but for you and for your family, I can only imagine how cool it was. So, all right, so what's next? What's on the docket for Coach Hottle?
Well, I'm going to go and I've accepted a job with Anne Arundel County Recreation and Parks, and essentially what the position entails is I will oversee the rec sports and the adult sports throughout the entire county. So I imagine I'm going to be pretty busy. It's interesting, kind of, life goes full circle. So kind of back to where football started for me, back at the rec level and, being involved in sort of the grassroots of growing the game of football. And I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of get back to that. I tell my wife all the time, if I could have made a living being a rec lacrosse coach, right? Like I probably would have done it because you look back, you talk about fun moments, teaching kids to catch and throw, right? It seems super simple. And people don't realize, man, the little ones make such strides so fast. Whereas the college guy, right, you're trying to change a step here and a step there where, a 9-year-old is, he's just exploding with skill development. And that's me, super exciting. And, I'm really pumped up to get involved and, be a part of that again.
That's awesome, man. That is really cool. And I am so happy for you. And truly mean so appreciative of the relationship that we've had and that you've allowed me to be a very small part of the program and what you do over there, and just thankful for everything that you've done for Stevenson football in this community, man. Rooting for you no matter what. And, I'm going to be in touch, and we're going to be hanging out more. That's going to happen. That's a promise
for sure.
Forward. Appreciate you, man.
Love to do it, man. Thank you so much.
It's Ed Hottle, former Stevenson football coach. Hell of a run there. Again, built that program from scratch. It did not exist when he arrived. And started in 2011 and won an awful lot of games and championships and bowl appearances and just an awesome run. Now Josh Haig takes over as head coach for the Mustangs moving forward. Congratulations to Coach Hottle. Yeah, it was a very bitter pill for me on Friday night because I am, obviously very close. Love Ed Hottle, like everybody knows my role with Stevenson. And so I root for him, and it's been cool. Like, I've done some Calvert Hall games, and I've gotten to call some of his son's games, but very conflicting watching that on Friday night as Wyatt really, dominated the first half. for Syracuse, as they did go on to beat Maryland, and they're the new #1 overall team in the country because of it. All right, that was courtesy of ACC Network, by the way. When we come back in, we will talk some Ravens, talk some NFL draft. Mike Renner from CBS Sports joins us next. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and it's our annual Best of issue, celebrating the top people, performances, and moments of 2025 in local sports. On the cover, we recognize 4 of the most significant athletes of the year: Orioles pitcher Trevor Rogers, Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, Maryland basketball star Derek Queen, and our 2025 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
At Live, we want to say thanks to our community with our biggest giveaway yet. Thanks a Million free slot play giveaway. Join us every Friday in February for your chance to win a share of $1 million in free play, including a grand prize of $75,000 in free play. You could be one of 25 winners each week. So what are you waiting for? Thanks a Million, only at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR's Continue Along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Still a little bit more to do. At this point, Jack says about the baseball thing, VAR constantly ruins soccer games chasing this dragon. I know what you're saying, Jack, because I've made this point about VAR before. I actually have an issue, but uniquely my issue is with the offsides rule and what the concept of we don't just want guys cherry picking, we want them playing soccer. Well, we end up having it as if your toenail is extended out a little bit further than the others, then we're going to say it's offsides. I have VAR issues. And if you want to talk about whether or not baseball should the strike zone be that the entire ball has to be inside the strike zone, we can have that conversation if you want to have that conversation. I just think it's a separate conversation. VAR doesn't exist in soccer because they're trying to be punitive. VAR exists in soccer for the idea of making the game better, so that the embarrassing stuff, and I'm trying to remember which World Cup it was. They get embarrassing missed call. The concept of adding VAR was let's make sure the embarrassing stuff, the stuff that should never have been goals, or the stuff that obviously was a goal, we get that right. And so your argument, right, you're chasing this dragon, I get it. Baseball, the ball that's a little bit one way or the other, that's not the reason why VAR or why ABS exists. ABS exists because there have been too many that have been well outside the strike zone. I mean, outside the strike zone by a couple of inches that have been called strikes. And what was the one last year that was literally right down the middle that Ben McDonald, gasped about? It was one of the worst calls I've ever.
That's just what it was. It was just
I can't remember who it was that was at the plate.
Maybe this is MLB's point.
But it was right down the effing middle, and it was called a ball.
These calls happen, and we just forget about them.
Unless
Kyle Schwarber has that
That's
reaction.
not an okay argument. That doesn't make it defensible. A match not supposed to be for a whisker. It's supposed to be for cherry picking. It's supposed to be for, we want you playing soccer, not standing alone. This isn't related to a rule problem. Again, if you want to talk about whether or not the balls and strikes should be rewritten because all strikes should be entirely inside of the plate and not just touching the plate, we'll have that conversation. But I don't. I'm good with the strike zone as is. I want the calls to be correct. And I want to improve the experience for someone who's trying to watch baseball by showing them how we know the calls are correct or not. And we put up a box, and that's the way that we do it. And it's just that simple. I understand the comparison. Today's show is also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. In February, Live Casino and Hotel is giving away $1 million in free slot play. They're doing it every Friday. You've got to be present to win, and you've got to be a Live Rewards member in order to win your share. And then there's going to be a grand prize drawing on the final Saturday of the month. But every Friday inside Live Casino and Hotel, there's going to be a drawing for you to win your share of $1 million in free slot play if you're a Live Rewards member. Go to livech.com in order to find out more. Why don't we go ahead and do Tidbit, and then we'll see where we're at. Nervy mode. Part of switching to a 4-day-a-week schedule was also I thought we would have a better guest success if we were only trying to book 4 days. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And the first week we're struggling. Now, part of that is there's also no point to us really covering Maryland basketball right now, other than debating about Chapel. There's just no real reason for us to be previewing the games or talking about it because the team's no good. So that is impacting this part of the calendar. When traditionally in sports media you go, Ravens, a little bit of Maryland basketball, Orioles, and it's just tough at the moment. Very tough to spend any time doing that. So instead we talk NFL draft, and our next guest covers the NFL draft for CBS Sports. He's got a mock draft up, and he's got the Ravens going offensive line in round 1. He is Mike Renner, and he is with us right now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you as always, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Mike, I'm going to attempt, right, because Miami offensive tackle Francis Mauigoa, I believe is how you pronounce it, is who you have the Ravens taking. I want to start with this. Is this a case of you think the offensive line is the biggest issue facing the Baltimore Ravens and they need to address it? Or is it for you just this is the best player and I think that's what the Ravens are going to do?
I think it's kind of both. I think their offensive line is probably one of a couple positions that I'd see as the biggest heading into next year, and defensive line probably being the other biggest issues. But how this class shakes out is that it's a great guard class. It is a great class of guys who are either tackle to guard converts or just pure guards, and not really a great class of edge rushers. So if they were to find an impact guy at one of those two positions, it just feels far more likely in this class to find that guy at guard.
How many guys to you in the top half of the draft, as far as linemen are concerned? How many guys to you are like, this is in my estimation, whether they end up being or not, but in my world, this is a top 16 pick. How many offensive linemen are there?
So I think there's 4 guys. All 4 could ultimately be guards at the next level. So it's Caden Proctor from Alabama, Spencer Fano from Utah. It's Francis Maui-Noa from Miami, who we just said, and then Olai Vavenga-Yawani from Penn State. All 4. So the first 3 I mentioned played tackle, but could be guards at the NFL level. The last guy was a guard at Penn State, and all 4 are like darn good guard prospects. And I think the way contracts are going at that position, it's more than worth the top half of the first round sort of pick. So it's a very good class if you are in need of the guard.
How specifically? So I think the argument, right, for the Ravens is there's an immediate need at guard that's indisputable. And we'll see. They might even have a need at center depending on how things play out with Tyler Linderbaum. But then there's the whole, okay, and you've kind of felt like you maybe have stolen the last couple of years with Ronnie Stanley given his injury history, and you might also need a left tackle of the future. Are any of these guys quality NFL left tackles at some point?
So that's the big question. I don't know if there is. This year's class doesn't have those surefire studs. And even if they did, right, they don't last to 14 when you do have them. So I don't think that's the strength. But like I said, the first 3 guys did play tackle, and depending on your scheme, depending on what you want to do, I could see all of them staying at tackle, but they feel more probably like right tackles. Fano and Maui-Noa, both, that's where they played. Proctor played on the left side, but he's 360 pounds. It's just not typically, more often than not, that guy's a right tackle in the NFL. So it doesn't feel like there is a Ronnie Stanley who's unfortunately going to be sitting there for them in this year. But again, a lot of guards and a lot of guys could potentially play tackle.
Here's Mike Renner from CBS. He's with us here on GCR. Mike, you bring up defensive line. I want to go there next because I feel like the name that a lot of people had been talking about early on in this process with the Ravens was Peter Woods from Clemson. And some of this is us, the unknown related to Nnamdi Madubuike, but I think a lot of us have been leaning towards the idea that we're never going to see Nnamdi Madubuike play football again. You have Peter Woods slipping a little bit further. Is that because you don't think he's a top 14 type of guy, or just the way that you have the round playing out?
He's going to be in my top 14 personally, but it would not surprise me if he's not in everybody's. He didn't have a good year last year. He was much better on his sophomore tape than his junior tape. That's something he's going to have to answer for in the spring. But athletically, he's the type of athlete that goes like top 15 at defensive tackle. I think he's going to run really well, test really well at the combine. We'll see in Indy. And on tape, he's explosive and powerful. It's inconsistent, or was inconsistent this past year. So if he were to be the pick 14, I'd be happy as heck. Like I said, he's higher than that on my board, but it's more basing it off of his early career production at Clemson and not what he did last year.
I was going to say it this simple. Is he an impact maker in the backfield?
Yes. I mean, I think, like I said, I would be surprised if he doesn't run sub 5 seconds in the 40, even like sub 4.9. Like, the guy is really explosive. He can get off the ball, and I think he is, similar to he'd play a similar role to a Nnamdi Madubuike. That's the kind of athlete that he is.
There are people that I've spoken to, if I stretch this out to edge, right, which the Ravens have needed an edge post Terrell Suggs, and they still haven't come up with one yet. But hopefully Jesse Minter is going to be good enough to just make edge rushers. And, I mean, maybe he brings Odafe Owe back. Who knows? But the Ruben Bain conversation to me is so fascinating, Mike, because there are people that I've spoken to that would say Ruben Bain is as good as we all thought he was when we were watching him wreak havoc, and he is one of the top players in the draft. There are other people that would say, I don't even know if I want to take him at 14 and bring up that, he didn't have quite as much production last year. We talk about Peter Woods, and, his size is not going to overwhelm you. Where are you on the Ruben Bain discussion between like surefire difference maker or maybe not such a sure thing?
I lean far more to the surefire difference maker. He's actually my top player in this class.
Really?
He's top non-quarterback. I give him the top grade of anyone. So, yeah, I very much lean into that camp. And I think the thing with him is at edge specifically, there's kind of an archetype. And it's like Myles Garrett, right? It's tall, long, explosive sort of athlete, right? It's tuned up, twitchy. And that's not Bain. He's going to be like 6'2". He's not going to have long arms. He's probably not going to test extremely well. He's not going to run a 4.5. You know, he's going to probably run like a 4.7 something or 4.8. He's not that guy. But what he is probably the strongest defensive end prospect I've ever scouted. I mean, he is truly a one-of-one sort of power player that I've seen at the collegiate level. And, you know, I've only been doing this a decade or so, but like that's still a good amount of time to say that he is unique in that regard. And so he has a trait that he can still win with. And so while he doesn't fit the archetype that you usually look for, production with that sort of trump card trait that I talked about is still something I'm going to bet on because, like I said, he was so dominant last year. He led college football in pressures. You watch the playoffs and like he was a one-man wrecking crew in most of those games, whether it's versus the run versus the pass. So I'm buying him. If he falls to 14, it would be a no-brainer for me.
Is he, like, based on the way that you're describing him, and again, knowing the Ravens have been desperate, like this has been a need for years at this point, is he the type that, like, you know, if he's sitting there at 10, it's maybe time for the Ravens to finally make a move to address this particular position?
100%. I would trade up from in this draft class specifically if it's, you know, takes day 2 draft capital this year to do it. Now, if it takes 2027 draft capital, I'm not as interested. 2027 looks like it should be a very, very good draft class, but this year's thin. If you're trading a day 2 pick, it's going to be tough to find a real impact player on day 2 this year, in my opinion, just based off of the grades I'm giving guys into the 30s and 40s in this draft class. So I'd be willing to trade a day 2 pick to move up if he starts to slip.
That's interesting. Boy, it's also concerning given the number of needs that we're talking about. Mike Renner, CBS Sports, with us here on GCR. Mike, what the other, you brought it up before, the other edge rushers, like, I mean, Cassius Howell's name has come up, but it seems like you're maybe not very high on him. There really isn't anyone that sort of sits into that middle of the round territory that could be sitting there for the Ravens?
I don't think so. You know, assuming David Bailey from Texas Tech, Arvell Reese, and Ruben Bain are off the board, next guy on my board is going to be like in the mid-20s. Yeah. So there's going to be at the defensive end position. So there's like a gap there. There's just not anyone that I would pick at pick 14. Howell's he's way too one-dimensional. He's not really going to be a run defender. And even though I think he's going to be a solid pass rusher at the next level, I don't see special athlete. I don't see, you know, he doesn't have great length either himself. So it's kind of, if one of those top 3 doesn't really fall to you, I'd probably wait till day 2 in this edge class, or maybe just not draft one at all. It's not that good a class, like I said.
Wow. Let me go to wide receiver for a minute, Mike, because, you know, like yesterday, obviously, you know how this goes because you do these shows all over the country. Whenever any name comes up, every team's fan base says, oh, go get me that guy. And so obviously Tyreek Hill's name came up. And I've spent most of my life of doing this discussing every wide receiver as being a possibility for the Ravens because the Ravens, for the most part, have needed wide receivers throughout their franchise history. Uniquely in this moment, Tyreek Hill makes no sense to me because even if he were to be healthy, and I have no idea if he were, his skill set at this point to me is not so different than what you're getting from Hollywood Brown that's the need. My gut tells me the need is for the prototype. And so I see, like, Mekhi Lemon's name has been connected to the Ravens, and I'm not saying, like, no, because he's a good football player, but I don't know that makes sense given what their actual need is for pairing with Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I'm with you in that if you're adding anything to this receiving core, you're adding size.
Yeah.
You know, you're not adding another speed guy, specifically Tyreek Hill. Like, I don't know if I would even touch him. I don't care who it is, because what made Tyreek Hill was that he ran a 4.2 and was the most athletic wide receiver I've ever seen. You know, that's what made him special. It's not that he has great ball skills or that he's has this massive catch radius. I mean, he's like a 6-foot wingspan. He might not be anything if he doesn't run a 4.2 anymore. If you're on the 4.45, he's probably out of the NFL, unfortunately. That's just how it goes with guys like that. So I would not add another speedster or like Mekhi Lemon, an undersized slot receiver to this mix. It's just, that's not what you need. You need like a Carnell Tate. That's who I would want to add, the Ohio State wide receiver. He's a big body with downfield ability, with a big catch radius that can do a lot of those things. So traditionally, those guys, though, the good news is you can traditionally find those guys on day two. You know, guys like T. Higgins, guys in that Michael Pittman, guys in that mold. They often go top of the second round. So I think there's a chance in this year's class that that's where you could find one in the second round.
I was going to ask you about two names in particular. Jordan Tyson, who's not like 6'5", but is a little bit bigger. And then the kid from Washington, Boston, right? Like, who is that size? Is that too early to consider Boston? And what about Tyson?
I think it's a little early for Boston. I just think he really is, like, he's the guy I see in that mold. So Jaden Higgins went top of the second last year. He's another guy, and that's the type of prospect I see Denzel Boston. And he may get pushed up a little because it's a weak class and go in the 20s, but that's the type of guy you're getting. If you use pick 14 on that guy, you might get a fine player. You just probably are using your draft capital a little incorrectly. Whereas Tyson is a little bit different animal. I actually have him as the top receiver in this draft class.
Wow.
At least on tape. He has 3 years now, though, of missing time with injury, torn ACL in 2022, missed all of 2023, broke his clavicle in 2024, and then had hamstring issues this past year. So he comes with a big red flag in that regard, but he has a lot of complementary skill set to his Zay Flowers and has some size there to add on. So I think he's the best one. So if he were to fall, though, with his injury history because of that, I'd be very interested if I'm the Ravens because, again, it's complementary and kind of what they're looking for. So that's kind of how I see those two. Just a big chasm between those two on tape, at least.
So you're obviously down on the rest of the draft, Mike, but is there a position where there is depth? Is there something that can be found second, third, fourth round, generically, that like this is the one position group that might have a little bit of depth in this draft?
I would say linebacker.
Okay.
I think this is the best linebacker class I've ever scouted, actually. There is a lot of top-end talent. I think I have 6 linebackers in my top 40, which is just crazy, considering like I have big positional value in it, and it's obviously not a position that historically you draft first round that often. So I love the linebacker class. I think you can find one any point, whether it's the first round, second round, third round, you'll be able to get a good one. So that is one. And I think cornerback as well. It may not have, there's only 3 guys I would take in the first round, but I think in day 2, there's a lot of talent in this draft class. So those 2 positions I would say are pretty deep. And like I said, I like the guard class too. It's just a really good guard class.
I was actually going to make a joke to wrap it up and say, now that we've had our fun and discussed all these other things, which defensive back are the Ravens taking at 14? Because that's what they do, is they just have a thing about taking defensive backs. I know. You do stuff with the Shrine Bowl, correct?
Yes.
I am a Navy sycophant, right? Like, I just love everything about that program, and everything that they do is just, I couldn't be a bigger Navy guy, and I have sort of like fallen in love with Landon Robinson. Can you tell me how legitimate, like, he's just such a freak, how legitimate of an NFL prospect is he?
I thought you were going to say Eli Heidenreich.
I love Eli too. But I'm not as convinced. So you give me both of them.
Because it's funny, the Shrine Bowl director, Eric Galco, was like, he wouldn't even, that was part of the cross-check staff there. That
I actually
kind of
saw,
said, should we invite this guy or not?
I think I saw Eric at the Army-Navy game, actually.
He probably did, because he would not even let us discuss Heidenreich, because he's like, we're inviting him. There's no chance we even need to have a conversation about it. We're inviting Eli Heidenreich. He's that good. But Robinson is, I'm very intrigued. His mold, so he's not even, I think he came in under 6 foot at the Shrine Bowl. So he's under 6 foot defensive tackle. But if you just look across the NFL, there's more and more guys. And I think the Rams are kind of starting this wave with their undersized DTs. But it's becoming a thing to have these guys who are kind of just, I don't say role players, but they have to be in a certain scheme, right? If you're under 6 foot, you can't 2-gap. You're not going to, it's just not in your DNA. But what you can do is you can be a tough guy to stop on a stunt, right? You can just get into the backfield because of that leverage, because of your low center of gravity, that no one's really going to be able to stop you if you want to. So he's getting drafted. It'll probably be on day 3. Again, those guys, the NFL hasn't completely come around on them. They are still scheme specific, but I'm a fan of his, and he definitely has some tape that's really fun to watch.
I am convinced that if Bill Belichick was in the NFL, that Eli Heidenreich would be a 1,000-yard receiver next year somehow, some way. I am convinced of that part. Mike, what all can we plug for you, man?
You can tune in to Pushing the Pile to hear my draft takes over on CBS Sports. And, gosh, I got a draft board coming out right after the Combine, so be on the lookout for that as well.
And give him a follow at Mike Renner _ as well. Mike, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for hopping on with us. Let's do this again. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks so much for having me. Take it easy.
Mike Renner with us here on GCR. I'm going to have to spend a lot more time with Ruben Bain, man. Like, I'm going to have to how do you hear what Charles said last week and then what Mike said this week?
I'm on Mike's side just because I watched him every Saturday. And
well, you watched every game? You
not
were
every
watching
game, but it felt like
you were just glued in on Miami football.
I mean, Miami was on a lot of primetime games. And
they did play a few.
It felt like every time I watched,
look, in the
number
playoff,
4 was making a
what I'm saying
play.
is in the playoff, I looked at Ruben Bain and said, I'd risk it all for that guy.
Yeah.
Like, that guy looked
Mesidor,
like
it's like they both were.
But, you know, I get the point that Charles Davis was making, which is like, yes, but he's not Myles Garrett.
Right.
Like, you're going to stand – we've been seeing Myles Garrett on our TVs a lot recently because of his girlfriend, Chloe Kim. So, like, we've seen him in just civilian clothes, and you look at him and you're like, right. That – it's ironic. I'm going to have Giorgio Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens on WBAL tonight because, I don't know if you heard, the former president of the United States said aliens are real over the weekend, which is wild, Jack. When I talk about things that we ignore, like we ignore talking about like Lamar Jackson situation, I feel like we're really ignoring the fact that the former president of the United States said, yeah, aliens are real. And I know he like sort of walked it back, but like, I don't know, man. So I'm having that guy on, and all I can think about is like, yes, aliens are real because I've seen Myles Garrett. Like, he don't look like other people. And I get that Charles Davis is saying, and by the way, Mike Renner backs that up. Like, he doesn't look physically like Myles Garrett. Now, if he did, he probably wouldn't be going past, the number 2 pick in the draft. That Arvell Reese is going to end up being most likely. So, like, there is this part of me that says somebody's mock draft. I want to say like Bucky Brooks' mock draft recently had him falling all the way to 14 in the Ravens.
I believe, I think you're right.
And like if that's the case, holy yes, right? Like you race up, and obviously, you can't get up there any quicker to take him. But the real question is Ruben Bain like so special that somehow he's sitting there at 10? This is the year for the Ravens to say, the hell with it. We need to get the guy that's going to be our difference maker for years to come. I don't know who's put this highlight film together from the championship.
No Flags Film, I guess.
No Flags Film put this together. Yeah, he's good, man. I'm interested. God, it's just like the way Charles was talking about him was like, I don't even know if I want to have him in the first round.
Right.
He was so down on Ruben Bain. It's very complicated. Got a long ways to go, but
forced fumble on that one. I cut it off, but he forced fumble on the next one.
Easy over there. Easy over there. Like I think that what I'm talking myself into Peter Woods being the guy just because like it's the most sensical, and like that's what the Ravens do, is a nice sensical pick. But probably one of the offensive linemen would also be a nice sensical pick.
That's what Jim Harbaugh did in his first year with the Chargers.
Now, where was he picking?
With Harbaugh when he got Joe Alt?
Yeah.
5. So it was a little different, I guess, right?
That's like, to me, and by the way, they still had a terrible offensive line. But like, that's the point that I think Mike Renner was making. That guy is a surefire tackle, no questions asked, and that's why he's a top 5 pick.
You're set left tackle and forget it. Like,
right.
And you were trying to compare him to, you were bringing up Ronnie Stanley, and
right.
he was trying to say there's none of that.
I'm not trying to say is definitely Ronnie Stanley. I'm saying is one of these guys that you say is a guard tackle, could play guard right now, but when it's time, you're confident they could slide over and definitely play left tackle. And the answer is no. So if what you're definitively saying is you're using the 14th pick in the draft on a guard, that's tough. In a vacuum, right? Because the argument would be, right, but the Ravens have a massive need at the position. If you just, came to me and said, we're starting a football team, you have the 14th pick, I default to that being the Ravens pick because of it. At the moment, like if you said rank the needs, right?
Tight end, like is that something we need to address?
Right now you're saying you don't, right?
Tight end, like is that something we need to address?
Right now you're saying you only have one because you don't know if Charlie Kohler is going to. We're all assuming Isaiah Likely's gone. We don't know if there's a world where Charlie Kohler's back. Yes, it makes it a need.
Kenyon Sadiq at 14.
But I don't think I don't think it goes ahead of those other things because you do have a starting tight end. I'm not opposed to it, and you're obviously looking early in the draft for tight end help.
As in day 2, yeah.
Yes. I don't think that's something that you could do on day
guess,
1.
I mean, like, it sounds like...
I know, are there too many needs?
The safest options are to go guard in the first round.
Or Peter Woods. Right. Yes, those seem to be based on... Now, again, there's going to be free agency before the draft, and do they address... Like, if we get to... What weekend is the draft this year? It's mid-April, or is it back to late April? I don't even remember. God. We got to wrap up, too.
Why?
Curling starts again at 1 o'clock.
Okay, we got time. Combine is the 23rd. April 23rd through 25th.
April 23rd through 25th.
And we're going, right? That's
in Pittsburgh. Yeah. You can go. Report back. Let's just look around and say, there's a lot of people. There is no point to covering the draft. There is nothing to do.
There's only points.
No, you can go, but there's no point to covering it. There's nothing to cover.
Well, yeah, we go.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to hang out, wave. Look at me, Mom. I'm on the TV.
Maybe we should just go live the entire. We just camp, find a little spot, and we just go live for 4 hours.
Sounds like hell.
And shit on Pittsburgh or something.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Although, as Drew will tell you, one
Maybe
time,
not with all the pit, yeah,
one time,
Drew, it's a good idea.
Yeah, one time, we were just there to cheer for Dan Wilcox as he caught a touchdown, and dude threatened to fight us because of it. I'm good. But yeah, between now and then, if they don't bring in any other guards, if they go into the draft and right now it's Voorhees and Faalele, then yeah.
Is Faalele go? I think is Faalele not?
Oh, he is a free agent.
Yeah,
You're right. He is a free agent. But okay.
What if that's their first move of the free agency?
They bring back Faalele. God, that would be amazing. All right. I already said the tidbit was brought to you by Live Casino, right? So we can just tell everybody what the tidbit is.
Let's go with. Hold on, it was on my phone. I'll pull it up here. Yeah, I'll save that one. Let's do. So I did tune in for a little bit of that Maryland game on Sunday, and the stat they did share because they didn't want to talk about either of the two teams playing, but Keaton Wagler is off to a pretty good start with Illinois. Big Ten freshman to average 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists.
How in the world?
Keaton Wagler and 4 others.
How in the world do you think I'm going to get this?
By saying a name and then probably another name. And
this is insane. What is it? 17 points?
17 points.
4 rebounds, 4 assists.
Yep, 17, 4, and 4.
I don't even know who I should be looking for.
Freshman. They were all, very successful. Well, one's not one's, but they're all long-term NBA
Magic
players.
Johnson.
Magic Johnson is one of them. Yeah, he's the most famous of the bunch.
Okay.
Most successful in the NBA.
I don't know.
Magic Johnson at Michigan State in 1979.
I mean, this is the problem. Is I don't know who was a good freshman.
We got Michigan.
Someone at Michigan.
Ohio State.
And
Rutgers.
Rutgers.
Mm-hmm. Rutgers won very recent.
Oh, Harper.
Yeah, Dylan Harper.
Okay.
Dylan Harper, 17-4-4 last year.
Michigan.
And how many games did they win?
Michigan. And it's a guard. Poole.
No. Further back.
Glenn Rice.
No.
Is it definitely a guard?
That's what I'm double checking.
I was gonna say, like, I guess 4 assists isn't that many, but
yeah,
this isn't the NBA.
He was listed as a small forward shooting guard. So.
Listed as a small forward shooting guard.
And he was 6'8".
And it was before Jordan Poole.
Before Jordan Poole, after Magic.
Between Magic and Jordan Poole.
So that helps you. That narrows it down.
Obviously narrows everything down for me. Are we talking Fab Five? Are we talking like Jalen Rose?
We are talking Jalen Rose. Magic and Jalen Rose.
Okay.
And Harper and Wadler.
And somebody from Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's not Gary Williams. No, he played at Maryland. Never mind. He coached at Ohio State. Jerry Lucas.
No, not Jerry Lucas.
Asking me to know who was a freshman at Ohio State is a lot.
He was the second overall pick in 2015.
He was the second overall pick.
I went to Montverde. Which probably doesn't help you.
I
But
don't think that helps me at all. He was the second overall pick in 2015.
He
from
was
Ohio State.
Just traded to the Wizards.
Oh, D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell. Wizards legend.
You know, it's really funny. Like, I don't know why that triggered me, but when we were talking about it, like, somebody I was talking about it with was like, "Hey, they got D'Angelo Russell," and I just remember being like, "Right, but that's nothing." So, God, that's the only reason why that was in my mind. God,
yeah, Magic.
He was a number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Magic, Rose, D'Lo, Harper, and Wagler.
There you go. There's the list. Excellent. All right, here's what's coming up tubular-wise. Tubular is brought to you by the print issue of PressBox. New print issue tomorrow starts to hit your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores, wherever you find PressBox for free throughout the region, PressBoxOnline.com. We'll have Cal Ripken Jr. on the cover as Dave Ginsburg sits down with the Iron Man. Talk about life at 65, his role with the Orioles ownership group, and a lot more. A lot of Jesse Minter in the new print issue, a lot of college lacrosse in the new print issue. It's all going to be available to you starting tomorrow at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Here's what's coming up. Good bit of lacrosse today. Navy hosts VMI 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Mount St. Mary's has Queens at 1 o'clock. And the Loyola women right now are taking on Florida. That's a big one at noon. I think that was a reschedule because of weather earlier on. Maryland baseball plays at home for the first time against Georgetown at 4. That's on Big Ten Network Plus. As far as the Olympics are concerned, USA-Italy men's curling coming up in a few minutes on Peacock. And then still some hockey playoffs to determine who plays in the quarterfinals tomorrow throughout the course of the day. Everything else you can find at glennclarkradio.com. I'm trying to think if there's Michigan, Purdue, yep, 6:30 on NBC Sports Network is a big one. I think that's the biggest one tonight. What else?
No, Best Medicine. We do have that.
I do like Best Medicine. Do like that.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of Iowa State Houston last night. That
Good
was a very good game. Very good game. Morgan lost. That's a bummer. Right, but I don't love their chances.
Yeah, maybe that's the one they need.
Don't love their chances. But yeah, Morgan lost at North Carolina Central. I think I heard that Mike Tomlin randomly was at the game.
Oh, really?
So cool. I don't know if he has a connection. Maybe did Mike Tomlin go to North Carolina?
Is that Central? Yeah.
No, I gotta realize I have no idea. Maybe there is. Hang on a second.
He just likes North Carolina.
Mike
Central
Tomlin. No, he played at William and Mary. I did know that. I did know that he was a William and Mary guy. Maybe he's just a big NCCU. Maybe
so when's William and Mary coming?
Does he have a kid on the team? I don't know. I'm very confused by Mike Tomlin being at the North Carolina.
Well, he's retired. He can do whatever he wants.
I understand.
I guess he's
just
unemployed.
He's
he
unemployed, right? He's not working at the moment. Yeah, random, very random. All right, Very good. Thanks today to Mike Renner. Thanks to Ed Hottle. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Colbert's going to have a couple of journalists, Caitlin Collins and Walter Isaacson, on.
Okay. Tab at glennclarkradio.com. And maybe, or CBS might cancel those before he can do them, because that's a bit they like to do, apparently. Tomorrow on the program, yay, Drew's here.
All right.
Sweet. Buck Showalter is going to join us tomorrow, and we can talk about anything with Buck Showalter.
I haven't told Buck that Drew's going to be here. So
I think if I remember right, Buck actually likes Drew, which is weird, because that's the problem, as I'm worried that Buck will want to talk golf with Drew. Like, I actually am a little bit worried about that I'm going to have to reel everybody. Like, Buck will be like, hey, how about Anthony Kim? Right? Like, and I'm a bit nervous about that whole thing.
We'll learn that Buck's like a big live guy, and
I don't even think I just think that Buck likes, he's a sports person in general. Like, he would love to talk. Like, if we just said, hey, Buck, do you want to do a college football segment every week? I think he'd do it. Like, I think he'd be down. And so I'm worried that, like, once he finds out that Drew's here, he's going to bring up golf. I'm like, damn it. All right. Thanks today to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Volo Sports, Leading Edge Auto Body, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, the Costas Inn, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Nick's Fish House, and your Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Navy lacrosse, go Maryland baseball, go Loyola women, go USA. Duke sucks.